Hello traders, welcome to a new video here on my channel. So today we're going to be talking about my volume profile settings here on TradingView. So I know I've had people and viewers asking me recently, what is it that I use when it comes to volume profile? As you know, I do all my day trading in Sierra charts, but I do use TradingView just as a general analysis tool. When I was more active also trading, for example, Forex, I used to just execute and analyze everything through TradingView because pretty much I just relied on volume profile and on price action and market structure. However, with futures, I do use a lot of order flow tools, which, as we're going to see soon, are things that are not really you're not really able to use in TradingView. But I'm going to share the settings that I use for my volume profiles within the platform. Okay, so first thing, let's just go over, and I took this right off of the TradingView website. If you go down to the bottom right corner, there's a little question mark down here. It's just off the frame, but down here at the bottom there's a question mark, and over there you can literally click it and search anything. So if you search volume profile, it's going to bring up this explanation here. How is the volume profile calculated? So it says volume profile uses trade volumes for stocks and tick volume for indices and Forex. Okay, so this is indices. This will be what I will be using, for example, when I'm trading the SP 500, etc. Since we don't have historical tick data on TradingView yet, we use up-down volume instead of buy-sell volume. So that means that instead of using the delta or the executed buy orders minus sell orders, the official traded volume, they use up and down volume of the candlesticks instead. As we're going to see, it is still a very close approximation of it, and that's why I always insist, even though people tell me, well, Forex, there's no centralized exchange, there's no clear volumes, or in crypto, for example. That's correct, but at the same time, with this up-down volume calculation method, you can still get very accurate and useful volume profiles on them. Okay, so I'm not going to read this whole thing, but you can go check it out or pause the video and read the whole thing. And then after that, there is another picture I had here. So what is tick data? And this is something that I'm really waiting for. Once TradingView finally enables tick data, that's when they're really going to be able to use order flow tools here. Like, I know people tell me to go check out some cumulative delta indicator or anything that's made here from the community indicators. But honestly, I don't really trust any order flow tools yet on TradingView until they have tick data. So refers to market data, which shows the price and volume of every print. Additionally, tick data often includes information about every change to the best bid and the ask. So this will be in the order book. The most common alternative to tick data is candlestick data, and this is what TradingView uses. Although the charts may be drawn different ways, it's common to compress tick data by grouping the ticks into candlesticks. This compressed data is more commonly available than tick data because it requires significantly less memory bandwidth, disk space, etc. Okay, so that's also part of the reason TradingView, I think they haven't implemented this, because them being a cloud-based platform and everything, you're not storing anything on your computer. It's just a more efficient, quicker way to process the data. If you use Sierra chart, you know that it takes a lot of memory to store all the historical tick data that you need in the futures markets, for example, that I use. Okay, but hopefully this will be something that they integrate later on. Okay, so now when it comes to TradingView volume profile, They have several types of volume profiles, which you can find in indicators, technicals under here. I've gone over this in past videos and I explain all of this too in my courses, but this is a new one, the anchored, auto anchored volume profile. This basically, you just set it to a new profile every day, every session, every week, etc. and automatically generates a new one after every one of those periods. Then you have fixed range volume profile, which is the one I use, but as I've said before, I do not like this one. I don't like the indicator one. I like the drawing one that we have here. Why don't I like this one here? Well, because if I go and activate this, and you can see it's activated here, and let's say I put it from here to here, and I get a volume profile of this section, and then I go and I change to another market. Let's say I go to dollar, Canadian dollar. Now I get the same profile I drew on the New Zealand pair is showing up here. If I go to another one, the same thing is here. So you can see this indicator was the one they used. This was the only option that existed before they added this drawing tool, but I don't like it because, you know, volume profile is specific to whatever market I'm using. Unless you're using a period profile like a weekly, monthly, then obviously you can implement the same one, the indicator on any pair. But if I'm looking to analyze a specific movement or rotation, that's strictly based on the market that I am watching. Okay, so that's the reason why I don't like to use this one. Periodic, it's pretty similar to the auto anchored, except this one just repeats multiple times. So if you have a weekly, it's just going to apply weekly profiles going all the way back every week, every month, whatever you set. Then we have session volume profiles. I like to use the HD, which adapts the size of the rows automatically based on the resolution. And visible range, I'm not really using this at the moment because, like I said, I much rather use the fixed range profile. So the only two that I'm going to discuss in this video is going to be the fixed range drawing tool, and we're going to talk briefly about the session volume profile. Again, this is something I use only when I day trade futures in Sierra. In TradingView, I only use the fixed range volume profile tool, which you can find on the menu here, and it is down here. Okay. For day trading, I do use the session profiles, but I only use that in Sierra. So the way I have mine set up is, you can see I have it with a little star. So that means I have it a little shortcut on my toolbar that I have here, fixed range volume profile. And let's say if I put it from this high to here, I get the profile here. So let's go over the specific settings that I use. I can just, many ways to get to the settings. I can either just double click this, or I can right click it and put settings. Okay, and you can see here the initial says fixed range volume profile. So inputs, row layout. Under row layout, I always have it at number of rows. What that means, and you can see the row size here. So what this is going to determine is how fine the lines and the edges are going to look here. The less lines you put in, then the chunkier is going to look. Like if I go and put 100, it's basically just going to put 100 rows, 100 volume profile rows for the range that I selected. So when I do my volume profile trading, what I want to see is I want to get a nice clean edge on my high volume nodes, just so that I can really see clearly where the edges and the low volume areas are. So the way I do that is I just change the row size. In general, I would say on average, I usually have it at 300. I think 300 in general gives me a pretty good picture. It's not super sharp that I like can't see any detail, but it's not like really clunky and as well. So I think 300, again, this is personal and you should play around with it. Sometimes I may need to scale back or make it sharper, but in general, 300 I find is a good compromise. In terms of volume, you can put up or down, total, or delta. This delta, again, I have not used this. I honestly don't know how accurate this is since TradingView doesn't have historical tick data. So I always just use total, which basically what that means is just measuring the total amount of volume, buy and sell at every price level. And as we know, just the further and bigger a high volume node is, it just means that there's more traded activity accumulated in those price ranges. Okay. Then after that, we have value area. Generally, platforms by standard, they're going to be set at 70. That's sort of the standard that they come in. I like to use 68. The reason that I use 68, and I go over this in all my volume profile videos, you can see it on my channel, but when you have a distribution bell curve and you have here the middle point, if you measure one deviation from the mean on each side, I think it's 30, it's like 34.1, I think, per side. 34.1 on either side. So if you add those up, it's pretty much 68%. Okay. And what that means is that from this whole profile, this area that is colored darker gray holds 68% of all the traded volume that we have within this period that we are analyzing. Okay. And that's pretty much the standard that I use. Now, this is a new feature that they added recently, which is really, really useful, and is the extend right. I always have this on. What this does is, for example, if I don't apply this, if I grab this profile and pull it back, let's say I just want a profile from here down to the low here, then it's just going to make a profile from the point that I first click to the point that I click the second time. I like the extend right because that way it automatically is just going to keep pushing it all the way to the end. It was very frustrating before because if you set a profile, a fixed range, and then market opened, you would get new candles coming up and the profile would just stay where you had left it. But now with this new function, the profile is going to keep developing and extending each time a new candle is printed, and it's going to use all those new volumes. Okay, so that's the first menu as far as inputs. Now, as far as style, or volume profile, you have it enabled, otherwise it disappears. Width percentage of box, this literally just means how far out or how small you want it. If you put a lower number, it's going to be a smaller one. If you put a really big number, it's going to stick way out. In general, I like to have it at 40%. I think that's sort of a good balance that I found, but again, it could vary. Placement, it's either left or right. Now, I always have it left because the one thing I don't like with this, and this is one of the functionalities that I wish TradingView implemented, is other programs like Sierra Chart let you put the profile all the way to the edge. So that way you don't have it here like overlapping all the candles, and it would be right here. The only profile that it lets you do this with is the fixed range, the visible range profile, which basically just shows a profile of all the candles on the screen, but I don't use that. So until they allow a functionality to attach this to the far right side, I always use it on the left side. Plus, an advantage of having it on the left side is that you always know where you started your profile. So it's very easy to see where it begins. So that's an advantage of having it on the left. And I only use this for fixed ranges sometimes, but most of the time I do have it on the left, and my session volume profiles I always have on the left side. Okay, what else? Now up, down, the volumes and the value areas. This is just a matter of preference. I always like to have value area in a dark gray color, which would be this areas here. And the up down volume would basically be the areas outside of the value area high line and the value area low line. I always like to have those in a lighter gray color, but it's all up to preference. And I'll show you once we talk about my session profile settings, a thing I like to do to differentiate the different sessions. Now over here, you can see that I have, let me just move this here. You can see that I have enabled here value area high, low, and point of control. But in general, I don't use these lines. I just put them on for this video just for to show you in general the settings, but I don't use these things. I only use it in the session profiles. But if I'm just applying a long-term profile like here on like a hourly, daily chart or a weekly chart, I don't really mark the value areas or the point of control. I just use these things for my day trading on the sessions. Developing point of control value area just shows you how the lines have been shifting throughout the development of the profile, which I don't use. Instagram box, I always have it off completely. But basically what this shows you, you can just put this here and just put like a background on your profile. So some people might find this useful. You can change the color of it, etc. Some people might find it useful just to see where it starts and ends. But like I said, if you have the profile on the left and you have it extending all the way to the right, then I never really need to use this, and I always have it cleared. Coordinates, this is pretty much just where your points are. Like here you can see if I start moving this, it's literally just moving. Each time I go up one, it just moves my profile one candle to the right, or if I go down, moves it to the left, and number 2 would be the second point. Okay, but that's pretty much it. As you can see, this one, since we're having extended automatically, when you let go, it's just going to go back all the way to the end. And visibility, this is just going to show you exactly in what time frames you want your profiles to show. So when I do my market analysis on the weekends, if I have a volume profile, let's say on a daily chart, I don't want that profile to be showing in my minute chart, because then it would not, the screen is too zoomed in to even show the longer term profile. So I just like to mark here off which time frames I want it to show on, and this all just varies. Okay, and once you have all these settings personalized however you want them, you can go out down here to where it says template, and you can click save as, give it a name, and that way in the future you can just go down here and you can just select any of this presets. This is all presets that I already have made. Like if I click here, well, it doesn't do anything because it's the same preset that I have now, but basically you can just have different settings saved for different occasions. Okay, so that's pretty much my fixed range profile settings. If we go now, let's just go over and show you how the profiles look in different markets. So even though, like we said, there's no historical tick data on TradingView, you can still see that even if you're using different instruments for like the same type of market, it's gonna all be very similar. So for example, here I have the SP futures continuous contract on a daily chart, and here I have the CFD of the FP500 on a daily chart. I put in a fixed range profile from here, same point all the way to the end. And I mean, if you look at the two profiles, even though this is coming from the CME data and this is coming from Oanda, you can pretty much see that, you know, your high volume node areas, etc., are all pretty similar. You know, there might be some slight differences, like this area here looks a little bit different between these two, just by a little, like this is sticking out a little more. This high volume node is definitely sticking out more than what it is sticking out here. But in general, the edges of the nodes, which for me are the most important parts, are all pretty much match very closely. So you can see, you know, I think it's always pretty reliable. If I go into Forex as well, same thing here. This is Australian dollar, US dollar. Just put the 4-hour chart so I don't have to squish it so much. But you can see here, same thing. This is Forex Australian dollar, US dollar. 4-hour chart. This is FXCM. This is 4-hour chart in Oanda. And you can see pretty much the value area is pretty much identical. The point of control is identical. The profiles look the same. You know, so all this data, since it's taken from the movement of the candlesticks, the up and down movements, it's all very, very similar and accurate. Same thing in crypto. There'll be a little bit of differences too with the volumes from different exchanges, but it's all pretty reliable. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is my settings for intraday or session. Again, I don't use this on TradingView, but I know a lot of you use TradingView for your futures trading as well. So I'm just going to show you what I do when it comes to session profiles. If you're talking about like crypto or, you know, or Forex, you know that obviously each day it's just a 24-hour period. So if I go and click session volume profile HD, and let's say I go into Forex, well, you can see right here, you have a new session. Actually, I need to put this all. If I put it on all here in this session profile settings, that means this is just the standard settings from the market hours of this particular instrument. And so you can see right here in Forex, every day at 5 p.m. Eastern time, you get a new session starting. Forex is a 24-hour market 5 days a week. So you got pretty much 24 hours of action here, 24 hours of action, and you have a profile for each session of those. Same thing, if I go into crypto, if I put a Dogecoin here, same thing. In crypto, every day starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, new day 7 p.m. Eastern, and you have your session volume profile 24 hours, 7 days a week. Okay? And then as far as the settings, let's go into the futures chart. Okay. As far as the settings, same thing that we talked about on the fixed range. This extend point of control and value areas, this means that the point of control and value areas for each profile are going to extend into the future until the next intersection. So here you can see the value area low came and we hit it right here on this candle. So now this line stops. And then these lines, until market comes and touches it again, they're going to stop. So this is useful. I have this enabled when I do my day trading in Sierra, just to be aware of where there's any untouched levels which may be significant in the future. Okay, well, let's just get rid of this just to keep the chart a little cleaner. Volume, again, I put total, which is pretty much shows the same thing. There's a delta function, which again is not something that I really trust with the data that we have available here. So I just like to use total volume. Value area 68%. Style, same thing. Volume profile enabled. Percentage width box 40. Now with the HD session profile, you can see you don't select the number of rows, because this automatically is going to set the rows depending on how zoomed in or out you are on the chart to fit to the best, adapts it to fit the best way on the screen. Then for session profiles, I do have this highlighted, the value area, high, low, and point of control. And then the histogram I have off, and these things I just leave enabled, but I don't really think they actually mark anything. And then the visibility will be the same thing, just on what time frames you can see it. Since I use this on lower time frames, I always just have it enabled in the minutes chart. I mean, you could use seconds too, but by default, my session profiles, I only have it set on the minutes, because if I had it set on the hourly, it just gets very messy. Like if I go into an hourly chart, you can see you just get this like tiny profiles everywhere on the chart, and I don't want that. So that's why I only set it to show up on the lower time frames in the minutes. Right there. Okay. And now to finish off, let's talk about how you can split the sessions in the futures markets. So as you know, in futures, you have 23 hours a day trading. Basically, markets are open from 6 p.m. Eastern time until 5 p.m. Eastern of the following day. However, if I go here into the settings for the session inputs and I put each, meaning that I should split it into each session, you can see that nothing happens. We still get only one profile for the whole day, starting off at 6 p.m. and next one starting off at 6 p.m. So this is pretty much considering it like if it was just a Forex or a crypto market. Some people don't mind using this. I don't really know who, but I know some people like to use a whole profile for all 23 hours. Other people, they only care about the regular market hours. So meaning the time when the market is open. So if you put market only, what that's going to do is basically going to, where is this? Oh, here, sorry, on custom. If I put custom and I put 9:30 to 5 p.m., then you can see you just get a profile for the regular trading sessions from 9:30 a.m. Eastern up until 5 p.m. But then this whole area here, this is extended trading hours overnight during the Asia and the Europe session and the pre-market open in the American session that are not considered in the profile. So what I like to do is let's get rid of this. I go to indicators, session volume profile HD, and I click on this twice. So I add 2 profiles. And now I'm going to set my own custom hours. So I go to settings. I'm not going to extend this. And under custom, I'm going to put 1 profile from 9:30 to 5. Total volume. Style stays all the same here. Visibility only in minutes. Okay. And then the second one, I go to settings. I set it only for minutes. Same thing. Style, it all stays the same. And then under inputs, I select the extended market hours. So I start the second session or the extended hour session at 6 p.m. and I finish it at 9:30 a.m. when the market opens. And now you can see that within a single trading day, which would pretty much go from 6 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. the next day. Sorry. It's here. I gotta move forward. Right here. So from here, 6 p.m. Eastern till 5 p.m. the next day. So here we would have extended trading hours, and here we have regular trading hours, regular stock market hours. Okay? And what I like to do to differentiate this so you're not confused and have to look at the clock down here to see where 6 p.m. is. And again, I have this set to New York time, Eastern time, because that's the time frame that the area that I live in. What I like to do is on the second profile for extended hours, I like to go into style. And what I like to do is I change the color of the up and down volume, and I like to put it in like a blue tone. Okay, and I click OK. And as you can now see, let me just erase everything. Now, every profile with the outside of value area, meaning the other 32% volumes, are going to be in blue. So that way, when I see this market, I just know instantly this is a regular session profile. This is an extended session profile. And again, this is only useful in the futures market. This is what I have automatically done in Sierra Chart. However, in TradingView for now, you just sort of have to custom make it yourself. Okay? But that's pretty much all the settings that I use for my volume profiles. So this video, well, it went a little longer than I anticipated, but I just wanted to talk very much in detail about the volume profile tools on TradingView and how you can get the most out of them, how to maximize them, and how I personally have them all set up. Okay, so thank you all for watching, for tuning in. Hope you're having a great week. Remember to subscribe, thumbs up, leave any questions or comments. Check out my website for more info on all my trading courses, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.